Hello and welcome to Caroline's Crash Course. I'm Caroline. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Caroline. Hi, everybody. Let's open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Okay, so this is only one person's perspective, okay? I'm the one person, so take what works. Comments are welcome. Intimate or personal sharing can be sent to my email at meetgodwithme@gmail.com. Workbooks are available upon request. We are on step 1 this week. We're in today 2 Kings chapter 5. We're going to read verses 1 through 15. The king of Aram had great admiration for Naaman, the commander of his army, because through him the Lord had given Aram great victories. But though Naaman was a mighty warrior, he suffered from leprosy. Now, leprosy is a term used throughout the Bible to describe various skin diseases. It's not just one thing in particular. So at this time, Aramean, raiders had invaded the land of Israel, and among their captives was a young girl who had been given to Naaman's wife as a maid. One day the girl said to her mistress, "I wish my master would go to see the prophet in Samaria. He would heal him of his leprosy." So Naaman told the king what the young girl from Israel had said. "Go and visit the prophet," the king of Aram told him. "I will send a letter of introduction for you to take to the king of Israel." So Naaman started out, carrying as gifts 750 pounds of silver, 150 pounds of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. Okay, this is just kind of a depiction of his status, his material status. Okay, he's very wealthy. The letter to the king of Israel said, "With this letter I present my servant Naaman. I want you to heal him of his leprosy." When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes in dismay and said, "Am I God that I can give life and take it away? Why is this man asking me to heal someone with leprosy? I can see that he's just trying to pick a fight with me." But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes in dismay, he sent this message to him. "Why are you so upset?" said Naaman to me. "Send Naaman to me, and he will learn that there is a true prophet here in Israel." So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door of Elisha's house. But Elisha sent a messenger out to him with this message: "Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored, and you will be healed of your leprosy." But Naaman became angry and stalked away. "I thought he would certainly come out to meet me," he said. "I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord his God and heal me. Aren't the rivers of Damascus, the Abana, and the Pharpar better than any of the rivers?" Sorry, my dogs. Okay, he says, "Aren't the rivers of Damascus, the Abana, and the Pharpar better than any rivers of Israel? Why shouldn't I wash in them and be healed?" How many times do we pick and choose? We're so desperate, right? We want to be healed, but we don't want to be healed in that way. Okay, so Naaman turned and went away in rage. But his officers tried to reason with him and said, "Sir, if the prophet had told you to do something very difficult, wouldn't you have done it? So you should certainly obey him when he says simply, 'Go and wash and be cured.'" So Naaman went down to the Jordan River and dipped himself 7 times, as the man of God had instructed him. and his skin became as healthy as the skin of a young child, and he was healed. Then Naaman and his entire party went back to find the man of God. They stood before him, and Naaman said, "No, now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant." So yeah, there's a couple points here. There's one true God. If you're with it, you're with it. And there's only one true source of healing, right? No matter how much money we have, no matter how angry we might be, no matter what kind of disease we might have, no matter what other options there might seem to be out there, there's one source of healing, the God of Israel. Okay, so our reflection: people who are hurting deeply enough will try almost anything to find relief. Yes, if you're hurting deeply enough, you're not going to be picking and choosing what the solution is, right? If you come into a 12-step program, a lot of times it's funny, like, you're desperate one day, and then like day 2, you're like, let me tell them how to run this place. Let me tell you what I need. You don't know what you need. If you knew what you need, you wouldn't be here. For Naaman, the commander of the Aramean army, looking for help from a prophet in Israel was a desperate long shot. Yeah, no one, it's like AA or a 12-step or sometimes even God, church. It's like the last place we're going to go. Naaman was willing to sacrifice prestige and wealth to find healing for his terrible disease. Naaman was healed of his leprosy, not because he was willing to offer a reward. The real issue was not how much it cost. It was more important that he went to the only one who could really help him, the one true God. This is Athena. She's hanging out with us today, okay? So, a humble beginning, our 12-step devotional, we admitted we were powerless over our problems, that our lives had become unmanageable. No matter how much money you have, no matter how many opportunities you have, no matter how much status you have, your life is unmanageable, okay? By you, your life, your compulsions, your addictive behavior is unmanageable by you. You're powerless over them. So it says, it can be very humiliating to admit that we are powerless, especially if we are used to being in control. We may be powerful in some areas of our lives, which, by the way, is a little trick that the evil one will use against our actual healing. Things appear to be manageable, or we appear to be in control in some areas of our lives, and we think, I could probably fix this thing too, right? But those ideas have to be smashed. So it says, but out of control in terms of our addictive, compulsive behaviors. If we refuse to admit our powerlessness, we may lose everything. God, how true is that? That one unmanageable part may infect and destroy everything else. Listen, this has been a truth for my recovery since day one. When one area of my life is out of control or out of balance, it will overflow into every other area of my life. It may be a slow drip, it may be a flood, but it's coming, right? There's going to be damage. So just like if we fill our cup with the true source, our cup overflows, and that source will infiltrate and flood and run into every other area of our life. We can invite God into one area, and when we have an overflow, when we have an abundance of God's grace in our proverbial cup, His power, His source will overflow into other areas of our lives. The same thing goes with like destruction or imbalance or control, addictive or compulsive behaviors. If that's what's filling your cup, it will overflow and it will infect every other area of your life. If you don't believe me, wait and see. I promise you, you'll return and be like, what was that thing Caroline was saying? The experiences of Aramean army commander Naaman illustrate how this is true. He was a powerful military and political figure, a man of wealth, position, and power. He also had leprosy, which compromising which he also had leprosy, which promised to bring about the loss of everything he held dear. Lepers were made outcasts from their families and from society. Ultimately, he faced a slow, painful, and disgraceful death. Isn't that true with addicts and alcoholics? Or just people with compulsive or addictive behavior? Life can look good on paper, it can look good on the outside, but if you have this disease, it's just a matter of time. We are made outcasts from our families. We're torn from society, right? We face a slow and painful and disgraceful death. And when we say death, it's not necessarily death of the body, but it's certainly death of the spirit. We can probably all understand that if we're here at this point. Naaman heard about a prophet in Israel who could heal him. He found the prophet, and the prophet told him that in order to be healed, here's what we have to do. He needed to dip himself 7 times in the Jordan River. Okay, that was his solution. Naaman went away outraged, having expected that his power would buy him an instant and easy cure. In the end, however, he acknowledged his powerlessness. Thank God, right? Followed the instructions and recovered completely. Had he not, he wouldn't have recovered at all. Our diseases, in quotes, are as life-threatening as the leprosy of Naaman's day. They slowly separate us from our families and lead toward the destruction of everything important to us. There is no instant or easy cure. Listen, you guys, this takes time. We are so used to instant gratification from whatever that substance is, that thing that we grab for, that immediately satisfies our sense of ease and comfort. This takes time. Okay, we have to be content with patient improvement sometimes. Most of the time. So they slowly separate us from our families and lead toward the destruction of everything important to us. There is no instant or easy cure. The only answer is to admit our powerlessness, humble ourselves, and submit to the process that will eventually bring recovery. Okay, so our questions for today. Number 1, what is the difference between humiliation and humility in my life? So for me, humiliation is a feeling of shame or embarrassment. Humility is a state of being. So a state of being like right-sized. And in the definition of humility would be a modest or realistic view of my own importance. So humility would be I'm one among many. Humiliation would be I'm an outcast. Does that make sense? I'm one separate from many is what humiliation says. That's just my own personal definition. Number 2, how do I regard myself as being a little more important than other people? I used to think that my pain or abilities should place me in a higher position of importance than those around me. Delusions of grandeur, right, from a self-centered lifestyle. I am not that important. Okay, I have found. What makes me think I am in control of anything? Oh, that's in italics. What makes me think I am in control of anything? Because I'm not. Not actually, right? The thinking is the problem. So, delusion of manageability. So the evil one will allow this self-control, this manageability by myself. It will allow that to take place to kind of trick me into thinking that I can manage everything else. This delusion of control, this delusion of manageability, right? So the times I've succeeded tricked me into thinking I'll always succeed. But really, if you can look back honestly, right, my success is far more God's success than actually mine, right? But, I mean, there are some things that only the individual can do. That is true. God gave us brains to use and extraordinary abilities to accomplish certain things. But we have to understand that that's not of our own strength, right? Number 4. Okay, that was fast. How do I try to influence or control God or his representatives? Ooh, that was so interesting to me. How do I try to influence or control God or his representatives? Oh my gosh. I used to do my good deed of the day, right, when I was in addiction, expecting like a reward of some sort or like an easy way out of some sort. Now I know this is a lifestyle, not just like a one-time thing where I can do one good deed, and like a Pharisee, I would expect the one good deed to like remove the hypocrisy of the rest of the things that I was doing. Right? It doesn't work that way. This is a lifestyle, to please God, not self. I always had selfishness, even when my motives were good, quote unquote. I can do things with good motive, with good intention, right? But really, I'm self-seeking still. So the point of this would be to like really look at my motives and see like how I'm playing God, right? Okay, so number 5. When have I placed expectations on other people or God? I used to expect much more from people or God than I was willing to contribute. Okay. Now I expect others to match my contributions because I've been right sized. Like before 12 steps, I expect something for nothing, right? Post 12 steps, um, I realize like I have to contribute just as much as I'm expecting to receive, right? I have to give if I expect to receive. Um, so, but even the most reasonable expectations, of course, can sometimes not be met by an addict or someone with compulsive or addictive behavior. I've learned that I've had to adjust myself accordingly to other people not necessarily meeting my expectations, and vice versa. Like sometimes I don't meet other people's expectations. And in order to live in congruence with other people, we have to adjust ourselves to other people's like needs, as the way that we would expect others to adjust themselves to our needs, right? This is a give and take basis. Okay, number 6. When have my attitudes shown that I believe I know better than God? Gosh, like all the time. Okay. Okay, if other people are children of God and God's will is done, then if I'm arguing or disturbed or angry with the outcome, I'm saying that what happened isn't God's will. I'm saying I know better than God. If I'm dissatisfied with the results of God's will and I'm unwilling to accept life or things as they are, I am in, discord, right, with God's will. I'm saying that I know better than God. Or when I try to manage and control things, I'm saying I know better than God. Number 7, why is it difficult for me to... Now, these are just my answers. Listen, there's no right or wrong answer. You're not being graded on these. Like, this is just what comes to my head. Your answers can be totally different. Number 7, why is it difficult for me to follow another's instructions? Ooh. I mean, it's not anymore. But sometimes I lack trust, right? I feel like that's the basis of like not following instructions. It's either trust or like pride, right? Pride issues, trust issues. So when I was desperate, I did whatever my sponsor told me, right? The goal now is to remain like desperate, in quotes, like in my heart for God, like whatever it takes, right? To lift this merciless obsession from me. Like I have to remain desperate to do whatever it takes. And sometimes I balk, of course, and it talks about that. But half measures will avail nothing. So like, yeah, you can balk, you can have your opinion, you can have your attitude, you can do it begrudgingly. The point is that you do it. We can follow instructions begrudgingly. Like, it's okay that we're not joyful every step of the way, especially at step 1. This is like, my life has been turned upside down. I'm recognizing how powerless I am. My life's unmanageable. I'm not in a good mood about it, okay? I question God. I question authority. I question sponsorship. I question 12 steps. I question the Bible. It's okay. That's okay. The point is that you just try, right? And once you have the results of that effort, you see, like, oh, maybe those guys were right. But it just takes time. It takes crushing of the ego. It takes a little humiliation sometimes, but really it just takes humility to be put in the right place and to recognize, like, here I am, desperate from destruction. Maybe I ought to seek guidance, right? From whoever seems to have it together. I'm going to go to them. I'm not going to surround myself with people that are still managing and controlling their lives. That gives me the delusion of control. That's going to put me at odds with, like, I've got to change some things up. I've got to be willing to do that. God's not, like he said, he's not going to zap me healed, right? I have to be willing to make changes of my own where I do have power. Don't go to certain places. Don't allow drugs in your home or alcohol, right? Or certain people who entertain those ideas. It's okay to be friends. I'm not saying drop people off the face of the earth. But if they're engaging in behaviors that is going to cause you destruction or death or keep you from God's will or God's grace, get the heck out of there. Don't allow them in your space. Like you're not ready. Maybe one day when you're healthy and spiritually fit and capable of keeping that boundary, you can engage with those people. But until then, nay, nay, I say, don't do it. It's dangerous, okay? We have to be right-sized. Yesterday we talked about the dangers of self-deception, and that's one of them. Today, this is a humble beginning, right? Being right-sized. Know where you belong. Know where you fit in. Know what doesn't belong with you. And finding those things out is just trial and error, right? But if we seek the will of God, I know this is hard for some people. If you're in step one, it's hard to understand, like, the seeking of God's will thing. It's really hard. I get it. But if you're desperate, I urge you, get down on your knees, pray to a God that you don't quite understand yet, and ask that power, that one true God of Israel, to relieve you of this obsession, of these compulsions, of these behaviors. You don't have to believe. Just believe that I believe, okay? If you're powerless, are you desperate? Like, are you willing to try this one thing I'm asking? Right? If you're desperate enough, if you're hurting deeply enough, you will try just about anything. So, any whoozles? Yay, crash course day. Okay, Jesus loves you, I love you, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Bye.